Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. So today I'm bringing you a Stephen King reading slash review. I did a short for this book and I thought why not make a full length video as well. So I will pop my short down below or in the cards if I can do that, because yeah, you guys seem to love Stephen King content, so here it is. So I'm currently reading The Dead Zone. This is a chunky book and this book is due back in 4 days and I cannot renew it again because someone has reserved it. So that has given me a time crunch to actually pick the book up and read it. With something this big, I don't usually consider reading it. I'll keep it and then be like, let's take it back to the library, because I just can't do it. I said I was going to be reading Christine in February. That is still on my shelf. I haven't opened the pages. I haven't even read the title of that book. So if that says anything, I do hold off on big books a lot. So this is the biggest one I am reading this year so far. So go me. I am actually about 70% of the way through at this present moment. So yeah, let's just get into it. So if you like this content, please do consider subscribing. I would love to see you come back for even more content like this and other things too. I do rankings and recommendations and all that good stuff. So The Dead Zone. I am doing this project where I'm reading Stephen King's work, not in order or any particular way. I'm just trying to read most of his entire backlist. Previously, it was to read all of his books, but I've DNF'd the Dark Tower series. I know that is a favourite amongst many King fans, but unfortunately that series is just not for me. I DNF'd after 2 books and kind of starting the 3rd book in that series, and I was just like, nope, not for me. So I'm not going to be reading everything that he has written, which is kind of a shame, but I am currently about 43 books into Stephen King. This might be the 44th or 45th, because I did read one last month, so probably 45th. I will pop up whatever it is on the screen at this point. Now I'm just trying to read a book here and there. I've got my video with the 13 books I want to read by Stephen King this year, which I will also leave in the cards for you guys if you wanted to go and check that out. Those are the Stephen King books that I'm hopeful I will get to this year. There are some ambitious ones there, but I think I've read 3 or 4 now, so I am pretty proud of myself. But yes, The Dead Zone is the next on the list, and The Dead Zone for me is one I've been wanting to read for a while. This is kind of intriguing to me. So I read Revival, which is a like science fiction fantasy leaning book which centers around like magic and healing and religion and that side of things. And The Dead Zone also has a similar vibe where it's like a sci-fi thriller, where we're following our main character. He has the power to see people's futures, but he also has a power to change that as well. And so I really liked that concept and I wanted to pick it up. So The Dead Zone, we are following John Smith, or Johnny Smith. He goes to a carnival with his girlfriend Sarah, and they eat something and Sarah starts to feel unwell, and so on the way out they stop to play a game of Wheel of Fortune, which is something you spin and you kind of guess which number it's going to land on. And Johnny wins, and he continues to win. I think he wins around £500 on this game. And after that they kind of leave and Johnny drives Sarah back home, and from her house he gets a cab to his own house. But on this journey, something massive happens, and Johnny and the cab driver get into an accident, and it puts Johnny in a coma for 5 years. So when he wakes up, his life is completely different. He discovers that he can see people's futures and pasts when he touches them. And so like Johnny feels like he has been cursed in this, but other people think it's a gift and like a power for him. And so the book is very political. It has a leaning in here where he meets a politician who is running for this election, and he discovers something by shaking his hand. And so Johnny has to consider what he does to drastically change the future of this politician and everybody else. And the book also has a serial killer who is the most disturbed person, like so gross and disgusting, and it's all encompassing. It's such a dark, thrilling story, and I think that currently I am enjoying it. I feel like it's very intriguing, and even though this is a huge book, I really think this is one of the few books by Stephen King that I've been able to continue to read because it's kind of unputdownable, so to speak. I am really enjoying it. I feel like it is a book that stands out. Currently, I'm not going to say it's going to be one of my favourites of all time, because there are a couple that are really, really high on my list, but I do think it's going to be up there. It is really, really good. His descriptions and how he kind of molds his characters are just so good, and I also don't think he's been overwriting in this book, which is something that's kind of different. For me, I usually hate the fact that Stephen King writes too much. It seems like there's a lack of editing in some of his books because it's Stephen King and he just gets to write everything. That usually is my critique when I'm reading Stephen King books, because it's just like unnecessary addition, and I feel like it's just too much going on in certain stories. But The Dead Zone is a standout. He doesn't overwrite in this book. I feel like all of the descriptions and character inclusion and the storylines kind of all make sense, and there's no overwriting happening, which I really enjoy. I think that's the part for me that is making this book be so intriguing. So I'm getting to the final part of this book, so I really am so intrigued to see how this ends and what happens. I'm also kind of scared. I don't want it to end either. This book has taken me two and a half days to get to this point. I have been listening to it on Audible, and also reading here and there, like physically, but the audiobook is definitely helpful. It helps to get me through it. So yeah, I have about 2 hours left on the audio, and about 100 pages, I think, around that, and I think I might finish it by tomorrow. So yeah, I'm very intrigued, and I'm also kind of scared. Like I said, I don't want it to end. I am really liking this book, so I will check back in when I've finished it to give you my final thoughts. Of course, spoiler free. I try to make this as spoiler free as possible, whilst giving you some background to it as well. So yeah, that is The Dead Zone so far. I will check back in soon. So I've now finished The Dead Zone. I did finish it a couple of days ago, but it has been a very stressful weekend, so I haven't had a chance to sit down and film my review of this book. And to be fair, I really don't have much to say because a lot of what I was saying beforehand I haven't really changed my mind on. So The Dead Zone I thought was an interesting read. The Dead Zone does lean more towards the thriller side than it does horror, and it's very sci-fi based. Really a deep message. It's like, if you could do something that you know would benefit the world, would you do it? And I think that's such a powerful message to share. I know he's done that before in a more recent book, 11/22/63, and it's kind of like a similar premise but obviously done in different ways. I really enjoyed this one. I wasn't a fan of 11/22/63, mainly because I think it was very historical and there was too much like of the relationship in there. But this book I thought was delivered a lot better in terms of that theming and the overall storyline. There is a lot of like subplots as well in this book, but it doesn't really throw off from the main points. I really loved the outcome. The ending to this was really, really good. I do have this thing where I am enjoying his older stuff. It is a book now I would love to have my own copy of. This is one I've rented from the library. So happy to have read this. I was on a time crunch to get this finished, and another Stephen King book ticked off my list, and this one was mentioned on my 13 Stephen King books to read in 2025. So I am working towards the goal. That is The Dead Zone. Let me know in the comments if you've read The Dead Zone, what you thought of it, and what other Stephen King book would you recommend to me to pick up next. I am working my way through them. Yes, you'll see that Christine is still up there. I plan to read that in February and that didn't go to plan. So don't recommend Christine just yet. I mean, I will get to it, but I have just finished something this size. So I kind of want something smaller from Stephen King. So if you can recommend something that I haven't read yet, do let me know down below. But that is it for now. Thank you so much for watching, and I guess until next time, keep your pages turning and embrace the darkness, and subscribe. Bye!